I can't do this anymore. Left my past all on the floor. I've been trying to keep it moving, now we going north. Going up 2, 3, up 2, 3. Got this joy inside of me because I can't do this anymore. Left my past all on the floor. I've been trying to keep it moving, now we going north. Going up 2, 3, up 2, 3. Got this joy inside of me because I got the key. We've been really moving places, always on the low. I was shining in the tunnel cause I got the glow. People really hating and it really start to show, yeah. We gon' level up again cause that's just how we roll, yeah. Came in with the sauce, yeah. Learned out from the boss, yeah. I've been learning lessons from the struggles and the losses. Praying for communion for the races since we lost it. I done had enough of it for all the pain and cost anymore. Left my past all on the floor. I've been trying to keep it moving, now we going north. Going up 2, 3, up 2, 3. Got this joy inside of me.
What's up, Ram fam? So y'all know I be late sometimes. I don't do it on purpose, but I'll be late. So I got yet another vet with me today, and I do not have any Air Force facts for you, but I'm gonna cheat a little bit. So I got some mail from the Department of Veteran Affairs. This is September. This is Suicide Awareness Month. And I have some facts. The suicide rate among U.S. veterans increased 76% from 2001 to 2021. The veteran suicide rate was 70% higher in 2021 than that of non-veteran adults. In 2022, Ascend, which is who did this with U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs as ASCEND, found that more than 1 in 4 veterans, that's 27%, have had suicidal thoughts during their lifetime. Nearly 7 in 10 veterans, which is 69%, know someone who died by suicide. Then on the side here, they break it down by race. But I'm not going to go there because we're going to keep this a little light. But because it is Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month, I did want to give you a little bit of information. So I have with me an Air Force veteran, as you saw on the thumbnail today. And I'm going ahead and bring him in. His name is Martez Cobb that I met back. No, you know what? I'm just going to stop right there. And I'm good because y'all should have read the notes that I met him in Georgia. What's up, Martez?
What's going on, Miss T. Lee?
All right. I almost spoiled everything. I almost spoiled it all. I had to catch myself. I had to catch myself.
Okay.
I was on a roll. I was on a roll right there. So I'm gonna stop before I get going too fast and get started with our warm-up. But before doing that, gotta let the people know, where do you call home? Where are you originally from?
Where am I originally from?
Yes.
A lot of different places. Born in Chicago, raised here in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm actually staying in Pearl, Mississippi at the moment, just a city right over from Jackson, Mississippi. So I say those 2 places are home. Chicago, Harvey, Illinois, Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay, so our first order of business, our warm-up is just all about culture. Okay. So it's gonna be, what do you call these things? And so you'll be answering, either from Illinois, Mississippi, whatever. Do not worry about being what we call it, politically correct.
Okay.
Just first thing that comes to your mind. You can see this, okay?
What are these? How do you say this?
Okay.
Water, glass.
Just get the water.
2. Hair.
You was kind of quiet. Can't hear you.
Hair.
Okay.
Here. Shoes. Cart. Cart. Basket. Buggy. I don't know.
Oh, no, too much. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's too fast. What my grandma called pocketbook.
This one right here, your grandma called that a pocketbook?
It's a pocketbook. We're from the South. It's a pocketbook.
Oh, so this your grandma down south.
Yeah, Jackson, Mississippi. That's pocket. That's
Okay.
pocketbook.
Okay.
Go grab your pocketbook. Come on to the store. That's a bag, purse. That's an alley. Hallways. Smoothie. Slushy.
Slushy. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's an iceberg.
Iceberg.
Berg.
Bird. Okay.
Berg. B-U-R-G. Down south again. Iceberg.
Okay.
That's a boatload of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Wife beater.
Okay.
Yeah, political.
Mouse. Work. Okay. All right. Okay. Thanks for playing along with that. That was a little too much Southern. Okay. I didn't hear enough Illinois in them answers, but then again, that Chicago area is different.
I've been here longer than I've been anywhere in Mississippi. Not Mississippi, Mississippi.
Okay. So, next, do you have any siblings? And if so, what is your birth order?
I'm the oldest of three. I'm my mom's only child, but I'm my dad's. He got three. So I'm the oldest. And then I have another brother who's the middle child, Robert. And then I have another brother, DeJuan.
Okay. Yeah. So do you more so relate as the oldest or the only? Although they're very much similar.
I relate to both because like I said, I'm my mom's only, but I'm the oldest of three. So I kind of see a duality there, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Are you familiar with the characteristics of these children? Or do I need to display them for you?
It's about my brothers.
Yeah, how they are described. Do I need to display it for you? Are you familiar with them?
Of course, I'm familiar with my brothers.
Let me show you.
Let me see something.
With the description.
Okay, firstborn, responsible, motivated. Okay.
Does that accurately describe you?
Okay, I'm the firstborn, responsible, motivated, conscientious, controlling, cautious, reliable, perfectionist, achiever, leader, bossy, only child, seeks approval, sensitive, leader, confident, selling attention, mature for their age, conscientious, responsible, perfection. Yeah, that seemed now. Let me look at the other one. Middle point. Yeah. You not complicated. Sort of, kind of. The middle and last born, like you said, they kind of intertwine. Yeah, it's kind of good. That's neat. Where you find that at?
Yeah, you agree with they describe you perfectly?
No, not perfectly. I'd say 70-75%.
What does not describe you with the only in the firstborn?
I don't look at myself as bossy. To be honest with you, I don't see myself as controlling. So that knocks out two of them. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I say 80%. Okay. Let's see. On the other hand, Seeks approval, yeah, sensitive, can be, attention. I don't really like attention like that. I'm sure for the age. So yeah, I say we'll still stay at 80%.
Okay, all right, okay. Cool. All right. So thank you again for participating in that warm up. So now let me find my questions because they are here. I'll mostly be having trouble finding where the heck I pulled them up. But I got them this time.
Yeah, I'm already in your head. I know you've done it 1,000 times.
Nah, I be pulling them up and then I be having trouble finding them. That's why when I go old school with the pencil and paper, but I'm like, I don't be looking at the guests. Okay, so as I started to say, I met Martez at my first base in Warner Robins, Georgia. So that's all I'm gonna say on that.
That's my first base.
You would let the people know, what was your job when you were in the Air Force?
I was a SFS, 78 SFS Security Forces Squadron, which some people know as military police.
How long did you serve?
I served 3 years, 8 months.
Okay, so I'm gonna type this so I don't forget. 3 years and 8 months. Okay. And so why did you separate? First of all, because maybe not everyone may happen to know how long a term is. So was that your whole tour, your whole enlistment rather?
No, I was 3 months short of my 4-year tour.
Okay. And so why did you separate?
Discharge, misconduct. So I got a general under honorable conditions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just for the people, what does that mean?
I guess misconduct is kind of like, if I can make it in layman's terms, it's like being expelled from school, sort of. Get in some trouble, whatever, and you got some more complicated issues with things that they, rather than just taking some rank or whatnot, they'll do that as well as separate you from the military. So that's.
Were you immediately discharged?
No, I was not immediately discharged. It took about, I'd probably say roughly a year. Probably a little bit shorter than that. Yeah.
Okay. During that 1 year, what were you doing during that 1 year?
If you was in the military, you probably heard of details. So they took me away from my regular duties as a military police at that time and gave me cleanup details and stuff like that,
Okay. So should I talk about like civilian? Did you have like I'm trying to figure out which way to go with this. Did you have a court martial?
Court martial, yes. Article 15.
Article 15, court martial. And so for the civilians watching, what does that mean?
That's when, I guess, when you have a certain level of misconduct or whatnot, where they go. I don't know exactly how to put it, but basically they demote your rank, and then they give you a certain charge. It's kind of like having a charge in the civilian world or whatever, and then they give you a certain consequence. You know what I'm saying? So the consequence, with what was going on with me at that time, I know we probably go into some detail later, but it caused them to take my rank, one level of my rank, and also 2, which came with pay, also 2 with a discharge.
Yeah, and I know I have that question on here, but now I can't find it. I'm gonna have to type it right here. What was your rank before you got? It's not on here. What was your rank or pay grade?
But I believe I was an E2 at that time.
Yeah, that's missing. It's missing. Okay, what was your pay grade / rank? Okay, you were an E2, and so for those who don't know what that means for Air Force, what is that? What's an E2?
That's what I'm about to ask you.
it's
the airman first class.
A1C.
A1C, airman first class, right?
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to make sure because E3 was a sergeant, right?
Wait, hold on. E4 is senior airman. Yeah, so it's the airman. That was right the first time. It's the airman, AMN, airman.
Okay, so I was an E3 at that time. Before, yeah, I was A1C.
Got me on here saying the wrong thing. Look,
I was like, hey, it's been a minute. That's 2002, 2024.
Yes. Okay. So before we dig in too deep, I don't want to go too far into that story because it's going to come up later. I know for sure. Okay. Like many of us, Black people, Black folks, did you have any family members that were in the military?
Yeah. My stepdad, I followed kind of his footsteps. I was a military brat for a few years of my life, between the ages of 11 and 14, and he was in the Air Force as well. So he's the person I know. That kind of the first person that come to my mind was my stepdad at that time. Had plenty of people in my family that went down. My grandfather, he was I want to say Vietnam vet. Got just different people, but those two I said top of the list right now. Like his name up top.
Okay, and what made you decide to join?
When I was a military brat, I remember the lifestyle that they was living. That was one of the things. Traveling. I got a chance to stay in Japan when I was 12 and 13 in Kadena Air Force Base. So that was in Okinawa, Japan. So that was a vivid memory. Just the different things that was on the base, the gyms and places that we just that whole like lifestyle. So I would say that's kind of what, like, my stepdad was doing good. He got a chance to travel. When I graduated high school, I didn't see myself at that point going to college. I wasn't disciplined and hard in mind and didn't have the motivation. So I said, this is a way I can actually have a living and do something productive at that time.
Mm-hmm. Was the Air Force your first choice?
Yes, first and only.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
What branch did you say your stepdad was in?
Air Force.
Okay. So walk us through the night before and the day that you left for basic training.
You're going back 1998. The day before, I don't know what I did yesterday. So let's see.
only you can remember, whatever you can remember before that time.
Right, but the day of basic training, I remember just a bunch of people with book bags and everybody looking, kind of like what's going on, what we gonna do, and so I do remember that and being, sitting, we had to stand up for a long time. I do remember that, legs getting tired, and they finally let us sit down. And then we had to wait to get in process, which felt like, I think it really took about 24 hours. I know I didn't get a good day of sleep until probably the next whole day, but that's kind of, I remember getting the bus cut, the next day and all that. But the day of, I do remember book bags getting off the bus, a bunch of yelling and all this stuff,
Okay, so you now have 15 minutes to tell us whatever you would like to about your career and your experience. And if you need help, start with like where you were stationed, what you did, what it meant to you, about your coworkers, whatever. You got 15 minutes.
Freestyle.
Yeah.
All right. Make sure I keep up the time. All right. So let's start with, like you said, basic training. Went to Lackland Air Force Base, Texas, San Antonio. I think basic training at that time was 6 weeks and all that. I'm starting there because that was like one of the most dynamic times of the Air Force for me. Was going through all that training, physical stuff. I remember having a drill sergeant at that time he reminded me kind of a black Popeye. He had these big old arms, but he was skinny though. But for some reason, this part of his arm was bigger than anything on his body other than his head. And he had his buzz cut, like the Boosie fade. And he was kind of short, but he was just you know what I'm saying? So but anyway, I remember him, and he was hard, but he also too had a little comedic flair. So I do remember those times, trying not to laugh, when he get on people and get on me, whatever the case may be, and all the, the push-ups and disciplinary stuff and the rucksack march. For those that don't know, we had to do, I don't know how many miles it was. It was too many, but it was a rucksack march that we had to get on, and everybody had to complete that and all that, and the shooting and all that. So that was a fun time for me. But my first base that I was assigned to was Warner Robins Air Force Base, which is in Georgia, which is right outside of Macon, Warner Robins, Georgia. I did 2 years there, a little short of 2 years there. And I was a part of, I want to say 78 SFS. I want to say, I believe that's what it was. Was that what it was? Okay, see, memory. You working my memory right now. But yeah, so it was cool. I really enjoyed Georgia. It was my first time really living there. I think it was my first time even going there, to be honest with you, if I can remember correctly. But my squad was cool. I really don't remember having any type of negative issues there. I was doing good. I was a 5-star troop. I remember just being motivated, and just really getting a part of the whole community there. But on the flip side, I was 18 years old going in, so that was my first time being away from home like that and having that type of freedom. Even though I grew up at that point when I was in high school with my mother. My mom was divorced at that time, so she wasn't really a overbearing mother. So I did have a lot of freedom. But when I got in the military, it was a whole nother level of freedom. So on the negative side, I ended up getting into drinking, early, heavy drinking at 18, partying all the time, clubbing, room parties and stuff like that. And everything evolved around alcohol, and things like that. So I do remember that on the opposite side of the good, that coming a part of my culture, my world, and my lifestyle. So end up putting in orders sometime around this second year. I don't really want to go to full details on that. It'll take more than 15 minutes. But I just felt like it was time for me to leave and go experience something new and go to another environment. So I ended up getting orders to Aviano Air Base, Italy. That was my second base. And I don't remember that. I believe that was 31st SFS, if I can remember correctly. But there, I didn't really gel with my squad off the bat. I do remember that. Like my supervisor at that time, it seemed like for some reason we was kind of like butting heads off the rip. It felt like I just, I was vibing at Georgia, and then all of a sudden it was just like a little schism or something that was going on there that I felt that just different things like that. But on the good side, end up having some good association friends, and and we got together at that time and just kind of hanging out, doing the same thing, days off, we partying and hanging out, drinking and clubbing and doing that. So like I said, that was a part of my world at the time and a big part of my, as they say, decompression. So that kind of led into how I ended up getting discharged. I actually had a major wreck going out to a club and whatnot. Like I said, that whole story, I don't think you only gave me 15 minutes. That's a whole nother thing. It's deep. It's part of my whole testimony. It's a whole part of my growth and my encounter with God. You know, you see my shirt said in Christ. So before that, God, you know, church, none of that type of stuff was a part of my world. But I believe that that whole cycle of going through what I went through, having that crash, and one of the guys that was in the car with me was a military person as well. He's in the Air Force, got hurt. So that was one of the big things that led them to push for discharge, because somebody else in the car actually got hurt as well. And he's okay, you know, he broke his leg or whatnot, but you know, it's just a lot going on at that time. And then I borrowed somebody's car as well when I went out that night, and didn't fully pay him, you know, at that time for the car, and they added that to the situation. And, you know, on top of, you know, having work issues with my supervisor, so they compound all that, and that's kind of how that all ended up in that situation. I still got 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But then we got to use 10. That's the short version. Like I said, there is a longer version that would take way more, and I do a lot of it in my music, and those the other platforms I got as well. So
I have additional questions, but you can
you can
do
spur off
whatever you want to do with the rest of your 10 minutes, even if you think that it might answer some of these questions that I got.
No, you go ahead with the questions since we got 10 minutes, and we'll go from there. Because like I said, that's the overview of my time. You know, like I said, my job was for a security forces member. We was the guys that and the ladies that you saw at the front gate, that weighed the cars in and checked ID. You know, so that was one of the duties we had. Also, too, we also did flight line security. So all the planes, also too, any places they had sensitive resources, bombs, anything like that. We watched the aircraft lines, and we watched those resources and things like that. So we provide security for that, and flight line security. You know, watch the planes and things like that. So that's kind of my job duties. Like I said, we worked different shifts, sometimes 8 hours, sometimes 12s, and then if we had, like, I forgot what they call them. Sometimes we had to stay longer and you know, and do special duties and stuff like that. So I mean, it's like going to work, you know. But when you get off work, you know, what you do after that, you know. So that's kind of like was my two dynamics. I was a good worker, but my lifestyle outside of work, it really played a toll into that situation.
Okay. So we got Mimi saying thank you for your service.
No doubt. To God be the glory. I'm glad I got a chance to do
it. Let's see. She got this question. I'm gonna bring that question in. I'm gonna bring that question in when it lines up with this other question. So Martez, being that you are from Illinois but also Mississippi, the first time that you were in Georgia, because we're gonna ease into your story. How similar or different do you think Georgia and Mississippi are?
Similar in attitude. Southern people have hospitality, have a certain level of respectful manners. You know, people, you know, open doors for each other, and yes, ma'am, no sir, yes, ma'am. You know, type situations. Help you if you need help. You know, offer, and also to talk to each other. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? How you feeling? You know what I'm saying? That's a Southern thing. You know, no matter who you see, you're gonna nod, wave, or acknowledge in some type of way. That's just how we are. So that's Mississippi and Georgia on the same level on that. But Mississippi, to be honest with you, don't have as much to do activity wise. I would say event wise, or that's what we're looking for. Things to do to relax or recreation, things like that. So Georgia has Atlanta, you know, and Marietta, all these different little spots, you know, that have a lot of things going on. So if you want to go to a comedy show, you can do that. If you want to go here, you can do that, you know. So that's a little different than Mississippi. Mississippi, we really got restaurants. You're gonna go somewhere to eat. sit down in a restaurant. You know, yeah, they got clubs and whatnot, but if you're not into that scene, other than the movies, you know, and things like that, you know, so you got Six Flags in Georgia. That's a big difference. And in Mississippi, we got six restaurants down the street. You know, Dollar General, Family Dollar. You know, go do a Family Dollar.
Yeah.
Slow it down. You know, it's gonna make you sit down somewhere. Gonna make it's either one. He's gonna do something.
So I guess I'm gonna have to. You know, people say I don't be letting my personality and the real me out enough. So I guess I gotta tell a little bit. So mentioning now that you said that there's not a lot to do, you know, the difference between Georgia and Mississippi, and you talk about the club and all that. Which reminded me that, you know, you mentioned about this was 1998 when you came in.
Right.
And so this was before 2001. So let's let the young folks know and remind us older folks how life on base was prior to 2001, what the party scene was like, since the part of your story is how you got in trouble. What was it like before 2001, before September 11th?
So let's start on base.
Yes, what was it like?
Yeah, you got your dorms, you know, and I want to say one Robins was co-ed. I want to say if it wasn't, then they was right across the street, but I believe that they was co-ed. They was, because I had a friend that was, they was co-ed dorms. So that's one thing. It's like a college campus. You know, you're young, so most we was probably around the same age. I'm not sure, but I was 18 when I came in and whatnot. So at that time, I think by the time I got to Georgia, I was 19, but nevertheless, I was 18. Somebody said be in Walmart all night. I do remember going there too, but that wasn't my thing. You know what I'm saying? I was in the room, we was playing spades. That's one thing. You're gonna play your spades. You know, you're gonna have your beer, you know, whatever you drink and all that type of stuff, and just hanging out, talking. You know, they say singling, mingling, and all that type of stuff, talking and vibing out. You know, getting ready, especially if it's a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, and sometimes Sunday, getting ready for the club. So that was the prep, hanging out in the dorm room, playing cards, everybody running from each other's room and all that type of stuff. And you know where the vibe at. You know what I'm saying? Then you do that, and then you get ready for, at Georgia, I do remember vividly the Cadillac. That was the spot. You know what I'm saying? That's the spot that a lot of us went to. And it was in Macon, Georgia. And that was one of the clubs. And so we hang out there all night, you know, and then stop somewhere, get something to eat, and, you know, and lay it down. And if you had to go to work, and you get up, you know, in a few hours and go to work. If you didn't, then you get up and do it all over again.
Those of you who like to go to the club.
Yeah. So that was
on base, before September 11th, those people who were not in the military came on base because we had a club on base that was frequented by yours truly. And we went over there. And so yes, I was 18 just like you. And that was my scene.
And you was where again?
So in the CE dorm, where all of y'all cops were keeping us in trouble. Yeah. Yes. So where you say underage drinking and partying and clubbing, I didn't have to really go off base because the club was right there on base.
It was right there all the time. I said so. We just had to go out and go to civilian world too. That's what we had to do.
Yes. So that's it. That's all y'all getting from me. I ain't telling nothing else. Yeah.
Right.
So Mimi said, do you think that you were you said unfairly? She said fairly discharged because of all of the things that you had mentioned.
Okay, I'm glad she asked that question. To be honest, I'm gonna take personal responsibility. I'm 44 now. So I'm gonna say my actions was wrong, period, point blank. But asking that question, I don't feel like I was duly done right, because I seen some other people, and I know one guy in particular because he was a roommate of mine, and he had 2 DUIs, and he was still in, you know, and you know, and it was like, okay, but I had one. And first time I had the, you know, DUI, they was pushing me out, you know. But like I said, to be honest with you, me and my supervisor didn't jail from the get go, and everything happened for a reason. I believe I'm a believer in what the devil meant for your bad, God meant for your good. So I had to go down that route. That was the route I had to go down to get to where I'm at now. But just looking at it from that, like if you got one person that you stay with that you know we got two DUIs, yeah, he got demoted, you know, but he still got a chance to stay in and finish his terms, whatever the case may be. But I didn't, you know, so it is what it is, you know. So, but a great question.
That is close to this question of was there a time that you had to overcome adversity, but the fact that you and your supervisor didn't get along, I would say, was there anything other than that, or other than, you know, you getting in trouble?
If I can just be candid, I think you know race did definitely have to play a part in that. You know, it was like I said, it was a different situation at 78. You know, and where I was in Aviana. For some reason, like I said, it was a bigger clique situation. You know, with those that were white versus those I say versus those that were black. It wasn't supposed to be a versus thing, but it felt like everybody. You know, even though we had friends that they got along together and all that, but just in that sense, I felt that schism. You know what I'm saying? And the guy I'm talking about that ended up being stay in, he was white. You know, he had two. You know, and he wasn't even a good. To me, he wasn't even necessarily a good troop. You know what I'm saying? But that's hearsay. You know, but you know, it is what it is. You know, that's that come along with this world we live in. Unfortunately, of course. You know.
Other than that, so I'm gonna reword. I'm gonna find a different question. Have you ever had to deal, other than that, racism within your career?
Not that I can actually pinpoint and say I know for sure, or I felt that for sure. No, other than when I went to that particular base, and that was one of the main instances. But you can sense and discern, you know what I'm saying, when something ain't right, you know. So that was just that whole thing on that. But it wasn't nothing like somebody called me, you know, a racial slur or you know anything like that. That never happened in the military. It happened in my life, but it never happened in the military.
Okay. So what in your life?
Yeah, in my life, yeah. Actually, most people would think it happened down here in Mississippi, but to be honest with you, it happened in Illinois. Okay. And I actually got called the N-word. Had a gun pulled on me and some friends in the car from my off-duty police. And looking back now, we could have been dead because we've seen how it happened so many times now. But at this time, I was a civilian at this time. I was out. And I remember driving, and all of a sudden there was a truck behind me flashing the lights. And it was a white guy, and he was pulling out. He had something in his hand, pointing outside the truck, and telling him, pull over. He got next to pull over. Like, no, ain't nobody pulling over. We know who's the guy here. Police, pull over. And he about to ram us off the road. So by the time he basically forced me to pull over, so we pulled over immediately, took out a gun, and pointed at us and said, "I'll kill you, ends." Whoa, sir, we got a baby in the car. We had a baby in the car. It wasn't my family. I was with some friends, and it was one of my homeboys and his sisters was in the back, and one of them had a daughter in a stroller in a baby seat. Like, hey, we got a baby back here, man. Somebody threw something in my car. Somebody hit me here with a beer can, and one of the girls was drinking the beer, whatever, in the back seat, but I didn't know she threw out the window, and I guess it hit his truck, you know, and all that. So that was the first time I encountered actually being called the N-word and actually had a gun pointed, you know, saying at us, you know, with a kid in the car. So yeah, that was deep.
How old were you?
I was 22. I just got discharged from military. It was around that time, so 22. Wow.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, man.
Let's see. Mimi said it's really sad because now we need people in the military, and the military seems softer now.
Yeah, my son just went in, so yeah, he told me the stories, and he went to the army, so he told me certain things about how they did things, and they actually had timeouts, something like that. What the timeout? They had a stress card, some kind of card. You tell me about that. If you get too tense, something you can call a card or something. I don't know what it's called, but they basically give you some time to cool off or whatever. And they get call on their cell phones too. Every well, he called us every Sunday for like 4 hours, and cell phone and FaceTime. So we didn't have none of that. I know we didn't have the technology, but we had to write letters and basically it wasn't no. We got a phone call every now and then. I think it was like the end, but yeah, it's a whole different world.
I mean, I guess that's kind of good, but I don't know. And then I didn't put this up there. Mimi said, y'all must have been off the chain. Hey, different time, hey.
Young.
So I jumped right into that other stuff. So go back to, because that definitely is in that's definitely in your story. You went a little bit into explaining a little bit of what security forces is and what you do. For me, it makes sense because I know what it is and what you do. Checking IDs at the gate, flatline security, sensitive resources, aircraft security,
and civil police duties. And civil police duties. I forgot about that. Patrolling neighborhoods, responding to disorderly conducts, and all that. So yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to think like a person who don't know. Do y'all just try to give people tickets? Since you just said patrolling the neighborhoods, do y'all just be trying to patrol neighborhoods and be watching people speed, just trying to give people tickets?
That wasn't the vibe that I ever remember in the military police. If I could be very candid, that was the opposite. We really were trying to not do no paperwork, and that's how I go with police. Like, we're not trying to go look for work. Now there was some that probably did that, but that wasn't my thing. Whenever we did civil police duty, we really was just patrolling, trying to make sure everybody was good, and we saw somebody that had a flat tire, and just like any other police, probably do help them and just try to make our day go. That's what you do when you're at work, try to find something to do. But I'm not getting ready to go harass people. That was never. I never was around anybody who did that. I never was around anybody in the security forces that even had that type of attitude. Ain't no part of me with nobody like that.
I was gonna ask this next. Thank you, Mimi. Do you arrest people?
Only time we had to ever, I would say they call it detain. Like if they had a fight, I think we responded a couple of times at the NCO club. We had to break up, a fights like that, and spread everybody out and handcuff and detain them until we figure out what we're gonna do with them. So if you call that arrest, then yeah, we had to do that. Yeah.
Now you can't say if you call that because
no, I don't know what I was saying. What do a person necessarily mean by arrest? Because some people have a different definition of arrest. But yeah, we arrest or detain and separate and put them in the car, and they got to go down to the the police headquarters. Then that's what it is. And sometimes we just and we don't, but yeah. So yeah,
so if you put me in cuffs and you put me in your car, don't you have to read me my rights?
If I'm going to charge you with something, that's why I'm saying, like, if you're going to be charged something, they give you there's a card they give us to read out. Yes. So I don't ever remember ever having to actually read somebody their rights and say you're being under arrest for DUI or for XYZ. I didn't necessarily run civil patrol lead because you had to be a certain rank to run the lead part. So usually that was ran by a sergeant, staff sergeant, tech sergeant, and whatnot. So you might be partnered with one that actually read the rights and whatnot, when you're being an assistant to them to help control the scene. If that makes sense. If that makes sense.
So you are like the military police? Are you even a real cop?
So yeah, no, you're a real cop. So why you picking on the what you mean? Let's not.
What's the difference between military and civilian? Are you a military cop? Are you even a real cop?
Yeah. So in the military, we was as real as you're gonna get on base. But like that, who else you gonna call? If you got in trouble or something happened and you need some help, you was gonna call the military police. So we was the ones to call on. We were the 911 of the base.
So a civilian is gonna be like, you're not even a real cop. What's the difference between military police and a civilian police?
A military police works the base as a police officer, and a civilian police works outside the base as an officer and has authority outside of the base at their jurisdiction. So we have jurisdiction on our base.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So if something happens outside the base, right? Because majority of the time it's a line. It's a line. Cross this blue line because now you're on government property.
Mm-hmm.
Why do the military police stop here and why do the civilians stop here? That's why criminals get away or whatever the case may be. You ain't got no jurisdiction here. What does that mean to the civilian? Go a little bit further on jurisdiction.
So in the military, they had people that was civilians because maybe they was married to a military person. Maybe they was a child of a military person. Maybe they worked as well at some of these military bases are different parts of the base. Maybe the stores, or maybe even in government situations, they had people that was their own base, and they did what they call GS, and they had a GS rank or whatever. So they was working with the military, but they wasn't necessarily in the military. So if they was on that base and they did something outside of the bounds, we will detain them, and then we will have to give them over to the civilian police to handle if it's on a different level. But that's the thing, like, you know, we can't prosecute somebody that's a civilian under military law because that's the law of the military. But we can detain and give them to the right authority. So that's why I was saying, like, you know, and then also too, we can also too give restriction to having access on the base. So if somebody's being disorderly, that's a spouse, that can cause that spouse to lose their spouse off their base. If they acting up, having DUIs all over the place, getting in fights and whatnot, they can mess around and get kicked off the base, having access from the base, and be banned from military access because they won't conduct themselves in a law-abiding way according to military rules. So that's as far as where we can go, as just like any other law, you know what I'm saying? So that's how it works. Mm-hmm. Did that clear up what you asked?
I believe so. And I believe it goes to Mimi's questions that I did not show. So if they get charges, do they go on their records? I believe you answered that.
Yeah, I mean, like, say if you're military, like okay, so like the DUI I got in the military, that did not go on my civilian record because I was in the military at that time. Mm-hmm. So I got prosecuted under military law. I got the court martial, the Article 15, and they gave me the consequence of taking my stripe, taking a certain wage, which I had to pay, just like you do anything else, you got to pay, you know, your bond, whatever case, so I had to pay, you know, like that. And I got discharged from military. So I already did my time. That was my time. That was my consequence for my actions. So therefore, I couldn't get double jeopardy. By now, I'm a civilian, and then they do the same thing again. That was over with. So that DUI is nowhere near on my record. So when they look at my record is clean.
And did the military police show up when one of their troops get into trouble off base?
Great question. So yes, at that time I was in Italy. So when I was far away from the base at that time, so what they call in Italy, the police was the Pordenone. So they was the military. I mean, they was the civilian police. So they had to come and do all the assessment. They blew me, detained me, took record, and then they had to call the police, and I was military, and then they had to come and meet and then hand me off to them, and then they came right behind that, blew me, and for their records, and then did what they had to do as military law. Yeah, good question.
Thank you. Okay, so we gonna go back to our pre-scripted questions because we are almost coming up on an hour.
Okay.
So you shared already that you are a parent.
Yes.
But your children were born after you got out the military, though, right?
Correct.
Okay, so skip. So, but did the military shape or affect your idea of parenting?
It definitely affected, because at that time in my life, I look at all the, I ain't gonna say the mistakes I made, but I would say the things that I wish I could have did better, such as the way I handled my money at that time, the way I handled peer pressure at that time, the way I handled my insecurities at that time, the way I handled relationships, whether they were friendships or whether they was, romantic relationships, whatever, I look at all that and like, dang, you know what I'm saying? Now, my teenagers, I'm very transparent. You probably can feel it now, through me talking. So much more I would share at the time, but nevertheless, I'm an open book. So speak to my children and let them know the crazy stuff I've done, not condoning it, but hey, you don't have to go this route. You don't have to go follow the trend. You don't have to spend all your time decompressing with alcohol and this and that, so that plays a big part into my parenting, because all the mistakes I made, I feel like it gave me, I got a chance to live through it. And then it gave me wisdom to pass down to my kids and a story to share with them. And now that they look at me now and can't really halfway see all that. I don't know how much they can see, but, they don't see that person,
Yeah. What is one or a few changes that you think made the Air Force or the military, that you think will make the military more bearable today?
Did you write that question?
I mean,
okay. You said like you didn't write that question.
Because I feel like there was a word missing. What is one or
I don't know. I'm not in there.
Or the military more bearable today? Yeah.
I can't answer that question correctly because I didn't go through what my son just went through. And it seemed like it was too bearable.
That's an answer.
Huh?
That's an answer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're like one of the people that had commented. I feel like the military is so short that they're trying to push people through. I don't know. I really can't really speak into that clearly, but I don't know. What will make it more bearable? I would say what can make it more effective. And I could say what probably make it more effective is giving them more real world training. Because not only are you going to be defending the nation, you still got to be a husband. You still got to be a father. You know what I'm saying? You still got to be able to handle your finances. And these things, just like high school, I don't remember being highlighted. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we can make such a machine out of a person that we take the soul out of a person. That makes sense. So in the midst of the training, I feel like we should be getting people ready for, because a lot of times people do come in straight from high school. It's not always, people older. It's usually younger. They're coming in just like they're coming in college. So parenting classes should be a part of that. Relationships, peer pressure, having alcohol talk and drug talk, you know what I'm saying, within that training, you know what I'm saying, having those, I know we had classes on on different things about shooting and law and things like that, but just real life stuff. I think that's what we're missing the most in the educational system, especially something like the military, because a lot of people end up traumatized when they get out the military. That's why you got a lot of people coming out PTSD, don't know how, can't keep marriages, on drugs, alcoholics, you know what I'm saying, and broke. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I feel like will make it more bearable, because if you can live as a person outside and inside that uniform as a person, then you have more pride about yourself, period. And you can handle things a lot more dignified and a lot more strategic. You know what I'm saying? Not just off the whim and off of just sheer military. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah. What is a misconception about the Air Force or security forces that you would like for people to understand?
Yeah, a lot of times, like my son, since he went to the Army National Guard, they say they call us chair force. You know, they make jokes saying that we're soft, or that we couldn't handle the Army and we couldn't handle the Marines. So that's why we went to the Air Force, which I don't know anybody who that was their motivation. Like, I'm gonna go to the Air Force because it's gonna be the weakest branch I can go in. I never heard that, never known nobody that goes in with that type of attention, you know what I'm saying, and thought. So that's a misconception, because our basic training was not no cakewalk. You know, we went through it, you know what I'm saying? And especially in our generation, when we didn't have phones, we couldn't call mama and all that stuff, and decompress and talk to them about, what we going through, all that. We had to handle it, and we had to muscle up. We had to get up at 4:00 in the morning, straight with no food in your stomach, you know what I'm saying, going to work out for 2 hours and running and doing all kind of physical training and all that type of stuff, and being yelled at, and all that, and dealing with your peers. And I mean, so it's the same. It's pretty much the same funnel we go through. It's just might be a little shorter than others. I think we had 6 weeks, and some of them have 8 weeks. But outside that, I think that's the biggest misconception. We're not chair force. We're not lesser of strength. You know what I'm saying? And then also too, the other side of it is that we're not necessarily smarter. I think that's another misconception, that you have to be smarter to be in the Air Force or Navy. That's not the case, because many people who have killed their AFB, you know what I'm saying, that chose to go to the Army, chose to go to the Marines. And a lot of times that comes from, they chose to go that route because of family, because of people they looked up to. Like, I looked up to my stepdad, so Air Force was a natural choice for me. But maybe if he was in the Army, I would have went to the Army, and I could have made a 50, a 40, or a 70 on my AFB. I still probably would have went that route, because that's what I was exposed to. Does that make sense? So I think a lot of times people do what they're exposed to. So it's not necessarily because they feel like that's the best one or that's the strongest one, because really we're armed forces. We all work together. We just work, in different ways, but we all work together to defend the nation.
Okay. Right on.
Okay.
Do you think, which you kind of got into it, but do you think that the Air Force helped shape the person that you are today?
Yes, 100%. 100%. Like I said, the good qualities that of discipline. Once I went through basic training, physically, I knew that I went to places in my body that I have never ever went. At 18 years old, I went to places in my mind and enduring hardship in a certain way, and pressure that I would never have been exposed to. I can say never, but I was immediately exposed to that helped me to know that I can go through anything. If I just, to stick in there, bear the hard time, and get through this, I'm saying? And I can do this, I can discipline myself. I can be organized, because one thing that the Air Force did do in basic training is that they was really nitpicky on organization. So your drawers had to be a certain way, your locker had to be a certain way, your bed had to be a certain way. Everything was a certain way. So that might also too cultivate that perfectionism in me. But that's still, I feel like on certain levels, as long as they don't get OCD-ish, it's a good quality, because you pay attention to detail. So that helped me, a lot. And just being around different people, and being able to be around, because when I grew up, I wasn't exposed to a mass of white people or Spanish people or Asian people or anything like that. So the military was a melting pot for me. So I realized I got along with everybody. You know what I'm saying? So and I had a love for everybody. I didn't see necessarily. I can say, how people say I didn't see color. I saw color, but I didn't see like that's wrong, that's right. It was just like, man, we getting along. Say you cool, you cool. So just being exposed to different cultures and way that and way people came from different places also too. Not only that, people came from different parts of the coast, even in our nation. So you meet people from Chicago, then you meet people that's from Louisiana, then you meet people from California, then you meet people from somewhere, Albuquerque, New Mexico. You know what I'm saying? So, then you're like, oh man, what y'all do there? And you have those conversations, and then you begin to learn about different people backgrounds and what they do and how they eat and what they drink and all this other stuff. So it was just a cool experience of being a part of a society that was multicultural.
Yeah. And as you talk about basic training and the attention to detail that we had to have, how did that come into play for you being a cop? All the attention to detail that you had to have.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like security forces probably for me didn't challenge me enough. I feel like I probably was in the wrong lane. So I got bored a lot. I realize now, not that I'm some brainiac or whatnot, but I like to use my mind. I like to create. I like to think. I like to strategically plan. I like to troubleshoot. I'm a big troubleshooter. If something's wrong, let me see how we could, you know what I'm saying, and play with it, things like that. So I should have probably been in the engineering lane or something, on that type of level, something computers or something like that. So for me, security forces gave me too much time on my hand because I was a low ranker. At that time I was low ranked, so I did a lot of the gate stuff. So when there's no cars at night, I'm just sitting there. I found, early in my younger days, around 9th grade, that I had a knack for and talent for poetry and for rapping. So a lot of times I use my free time to write poetry and write raps. So that's kind of how I spent my time, to help whatever that void was I was having at the time. Flight line security, absolutely boring. You know what I'm saying? Like that plane not going nowhere. Nobody get ready to take that big old 10,000. I don't know how heavy it is, but ain't nobody get ready to pick it up. You know what I'm saying? So you're out there, and there's no big serious threat. You know what I'm saying? Even if something did happen on the base, they're not coming to get that. You know what I'm saying? So I had time. So my mind roamed, and you're young. And when your mind's roaming, it's an old saying that said that the idle mind's devil's workshop.
Yeah.
Devil's playground. And that's what it was for me. I thought of a lot of things, and even though I had talent, my talent was thinking about, man, I'm gonna be the biggest rapper in the world. I'm gonna take a game. I'm gonna have a lot of women, da da da. So my mind went to that place, and then I began to become a different person. I began to become this military hood person. You feel what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? In my mind. So I was military by day, but after I take the uniform on, you know what I'm saying? I'm something else. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't challenged.
Did you make a CD?
Huh?
Did you make a CD?
I made a song. I went with this guy that was on bass named we used to call him Big Mike. He was one of the.
No, but did you make one?
After the military, but I never made one in the military. I went out and made a song with him in Georgia, and I was passing around and whatnot. But I never made my own CD at that time. I was just writing. Yeah.
I don't know why
You remember the CD that I brought back from the studio with that guy? But no, I never made my own CD.
Oh, okay. Look, why you talking about engineering? I gotta follow my instructions real quick, and I gotta tell this computer to ping because I'm going out. Okay. So I'm glad you said what you just said about the idle mind, because my next question is, did the military prepare you for what you do today? But before you answer that, going back to your last statement. So my husband, he made it to E8. Okay. But a thing that he learned, into those senior NCO ranks is exactly what you said. And so what I'm hearing in your testimony is a lack of leadership. And so once he made those ranks, and also no longer being big Air Force, once I got to witness it, let me say it that way, I got to witness it. Once we were overseas and being in a joint service, that's exactly what he would tell the Marines working in the embassy. So now I too, on this civilian end, anybody that I meet, like when you got these long hours, that's all he would tell those Marines. Hey, y'all sitting here all day doing nothing. Y'all need to be knocking out school. Y'all need to be doing something. Do something with y'all's time. Don't just sit here all day doing nothing. When he needs, cops or whoever, guards, like I got clients. I got a client who works wherever she work at. But she's like, she's standing guard, or when she's work. I'm like, dude, knock out these certifications that you're complaining about or that you feel that you need. Don't waste your hours. So I'm glad that you say that.
Yeah, that's what's up, though. I'm glad he's doing that. And that's what I was talking about in basic training. Yeah. That should be a seminar in itself. That should
because when you stand, what's it called, night watch or civil patrol? Or
I didn't know that I was going to have all that. I didn't know that was part of some people's jobs. I didn't know that idleness and was going to be a part of the military. I thought I was going to be busy, working, do this, do that, structure, just like basic training, but it don't be like that all the time, or it's not like that all the time, when you get into your actual jobs. So I wish somebody would say, you got time, and when you got time as a military police, for you guys that's going to be military police, go ahead and go to school, and now you got time when you're down, to be doing your work and studying and things like that, as long as you stay in vision. See, I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? I know that was I even thinking on that level. All I was thinking about is hurry up and get off so, I can go home and rest up so we can go party. I didn't know that there was more, especially those that everybody is not growing. Everybody don't grow up the same. So everybody don't have parents that pour in like that. You know what I'm saying? And not saying I had bad parenting like that, but don't assume that everybody know the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think the military has a responsibility as well to keep people and to elevate their troops to the highest self, and that's part of that.
And looking back, I mean, I don't remember everybody or everything, but it do seem like a lot of people who at least appeared to be bad and got in trouble were cops. And I don't know if it was for exact what you were saying, for having too much idle time and not really knowing what to do. But yeah, it's like these people, they the ones that's like getting in trouble. So did the military prepare you for what you do today?
Yeah, for what I have done today, on so many levels. Yeah. When I got out, I worked several security type jobs, even to the point where I was a supervisor for a company. I was always lead security in anything I've done in the security world, even to the point of being able to work, specialty security for hotels and, just all kinds of stuff like that. And then also too, I worked in the corrections for a little bit, for a year or so this last year, and being, security minded. And understanding strategy in the security world and those different functions that we have as security people. So yeah, that helped me. Like I said, discipline wise, even staying physical. It's a part of my body always longing for that basic training. That makes sense. My body remembered that, and my body always seem like it's going back to that place where I was doing all those push-ups. I was running 2 miles. So even when I do the treadmill now, I kind of like always remember that I need to have it under a certain time, just like I was in the Air Force. Even though I'm not 18, I'd be always trying to push myself to that place where I was. So that's a part of who I am now. I always remember that if I get too far away from that fitness, you know what I'm saying, heart of mine, that it always brings snap me back into place. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I was back in there and I could run and you know, so having those glory days, they call it, to reflect back on, always kind of touched me where I'm at now. So those are the main ways, you know, that it helped me. And then I told you, you know, and getting along with everybody and being type person who's cool with all kind of communities. That's a part of me.
Mm-hmm.
Being cultural.
So you can go more into what you do today, because you were talking about how the car wreck led you to God and the church, and you know this type of mind for music.
Yeah. So a part of what I do, I do a lot of different things, but just on that note, since I told you I wrote a lot when I was in the Air Force, didn't know that God was preparing me for one of the primary ministries He was going to use in me, which was a Christian rap ministry. So a part of my transformation happened probably a little bit after I got out and discharged or whatnot, and then later on, like I said, once I moved back to Mississippi in 2003, and that came from a prayer, and you know, my first time actually asking God, what do He want for my life? So at that point in my life, I actually was praying. I had a relationship with Christ. I give my life over to the Lord, and that's, like I said, how that happened was a whole nother story. Basically, you know, I don't even want to get into all that right now. That take the story too long, but just say a divine encounter. For those who don't know, divine encounter, basically what that is supernatural things begin to happen in your life that is unexplainable. You can't just chalk it up to chance. You can't just chalk it up to that's, you know, it's just the guy was just bombarding me with confirmation that it was time for me to leave that old life alone and to walk on this journey, and to let Him take the wheel of my life. You know what I'm saying? So from that point, when I moved back to Chicago with my mom, I prayed and asked God, said, if you want me to stay here, I do it, but I don't feel like this is the best thing for me. It's too many temptations here. You know, I'm just, you know, trying to get my life back in, you know, in order, what do you want for me to do? And I remember clearly He said, go back to Jackson, Mississippi, where your grandmother raised you. And I remember telling my mom, I said, God told me to move to Jackson. She was asleep at that time when I woke her up, and her eyes got big. She said, you ain't gonna believe this, son. God spoke to me in a dream and told me that you're supposed to go to Jackson, Mississippi. So, and she wasn't even really a praying woman at that time in her life, but just God was confirming things, you know what I'm saying, for my life. And I moved down here in 2003 in February. And from that point, you know, I began to seek the Lord. I began to ask Him, you know, what do you want to do in my life? And at that time, I started throwing all my secular, they call secular rap that had to do with God, and that was kind of just vulgar and things like that. I remember Him convicting me of that, so I kind of just threw stuff away and just kind of watched my life, you know, from things that was going to distract me from getting closer with Him at that time. So I began to pick up traditional gospel and stuff I was hearing at church and whatnot, and it was cool. I ain't gonna lie to you, but it was still a part of me that was missing, which is that culture of rap, you know, that was in me. And I remember sitting in my house one day, and I was praying, things like that, and God told me to go Google Christian rap. And I Googled it, and next thing I know, this list of stuff there, I didn't even know that there was a such thing as Christian rap. Never heard of it, never been introduced to it. And I remember listening to some samples on Amazon. This guy, my first Christian rap I ever heard of was called The Truth. It was a guy named The Truth, and he had a CD out called The Faith. I listed some of the samples, and he sounded like my favorite rapper at that time before Christ was Jay-Z. And he had a flow kind of like his and talking about God and, you know, and positive stuff and stuff I never heard. And that's, you know, I'm excited. And God said, I'm glad you're excited because this is what I'm calling you to do with this season of your life. And I'm like, what? It's been like, I heard that in my spirit. So I'm like, what? And he gave me a vision for the CD and everything and who I was going to be speaking to. He said, because you come from a certain type of people, I want you to write these songs I'm gonna give you in a way that will speak to everybody, but especially these type of people, you know, and put my truth in it and your testimony and things like that. So I made my first mixtape was called Serving the Rock on the Block, Volume 1. So I took some samples of stuff that was already out, Lil Boosie Zoom and things like that, plus some original stuff that I made and put out in the mixtape. And I create, you know, what God gave me, and I was sharing it with my boys back in Chicago and different people that was in the military, stuff like that, and around here, you know, in Jackson, and you know, God just started taking me some everywhere, you know, with it, and allowed me to be able to share with youth and prisoners and children homes and homeless ministries and out in the outreaches, and it just got crazy. You know, I was always somewhere sharing my story, sharing God's story. I call it his story, history. You know what I'm saying? And all the things that I've been through, but all the things that God was walking me through the whole time. So, and I got into engineering. So not only that, the engineering bug that was in me was with music. I was also too, when I was in school, I started playing the saxophone when I was in 6th grade. So music was always a part of me, and I played all the way up till I graduated high school. I was always in every band: marching band, symphonic band, jazz band, trio band. If there was a band, I was there. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a part of what kept me close to positivity and moving forward in high school when I was going through a rough time. But anyway, so got the engineering. You know, I learned how to make my own music, and then other people that saw me doing it wanted to get a part, and God started bringing other people who was on the same journey, and I started making their music for them and helping them, and we began to build this big army of young people who really was on fire for God and had stories that people could relate with, and just go out here and just share. So that's kind of on that note of ministry, what was the primary ministry that God allowed me to be a part of in this season of life, you know, the last 20 years. Yeah.
Nice. Congratulations.
To God be the glory. Thank you.
Taking me backwards in this, because now I'm getting upset. Just a little bit. I'm getting disappointed on this leadership thing. Mm-hmm. Because just as I'm going back, right? You was this 5-star airman, and when you put in to go to Aviano, I'm just thinking back that this also should have been the time that someone should have also told you that you could cross train. Like somebody should have seen in you what you were good at, what you wanted to do, and someone should have been like, Aaron Cobb, won't you cross train?
Mm-hmm. I remember that word being thrown around, to be honest with you. I heard that word.
Or did someone just say that they feel like you could just be, super security forces, be like the chief of security forces or something? Mm-hmm. Is that what somebody saw in you?
They probably didn't see it. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, that culture at that time, I don't remember it being about, just elevating each other in our workforce. Mm-hmm. I don't remember that being the theme or the as they say, the vibe, and in my community. It was get along, of course, but I don't remember. You know what? That's the truth that we're gonna push to be a sergeant and to be the head of this. It wasn't strategic. I don't remember hearing that. They might have had those meetings in the back room somewhere, but I don't ever remember that being a thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was man of post. And that's kind of how security world is, and it shouldn't be that way, is we need bodies. And that's kind of the scenario I would say in police force, and something that I even learned that was in corrections, is let's get a body to man this post. You see, and that's why I was talking about the military. If it wasn't making more effective, if you don't see people as a body, but you see them as a person, as a soul that I don't want only just use them for this moment, but I want to maximize them for life. That's the reason why we got so many failed veterans. They did great in the military, but they failed in life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if we get that going all across the board, I don't think that was only a failure in the security forces world. I think that was a failure across the armed force world.
You might be right. Now that you say it, mm-hmm. I think this is. Yeah, now that you say it, that's just something that I learned through my husband after he made senior NCO.
Mhm.
But yeah, also do as an information manager, when nobody pushing for us to be great information managers, to be you're right.
I bet it.
I
I
gotta
bet
I gotta
it.
go back to 1999 and yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's about manning the military, and that's kind of what the scenario is. Not only in the military, but in the job force as a whole. A lot of employers don't look at the personnel more so outside of that moment. You see what I'm saying? I do like those workforce that are about, we're going to give you, this incentive for going to college and this incentive for doing this. But a lot of times it's wrapped around only if we can use you, though. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. As long as you okay with here, and that's just a society period. I mean, that's why I say we have to learn how to do self-care and to build up ourselves, and our gifts and talents and dreams and ambitions and things like that. Because 9 times out of 10, other people are not gonna do that for you. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's something hindsight is 2020.
Trying to go to my last few questions. So my next thing is, do you have any additional anyone looking to join the Air Force or any branch? What would you tell them?
I tell them all the time, when you get in, make sure you maximize your income. Like I tell my son, I said, he's asking me some questions about staying guard or going active. I said, I feel like if you go active, you have a better chance of maximizing your money. I said, because if you go guard and you decide to move away from here and things like that, you got to spend pretty much all your income that you're getting from the military on your lifestyle. But when you're in the active, you're gonna get 3 meals a day if you choose to eat there at the chow hall. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get those free, so you don't have to worry about spending a bunch of money, outside of for groceries. Then also too, you're gonna be able to get housing because you're gonna have a dorm or whatever. And if you move off base, get married or not, they could give you a certain level of base housing allowance, things like that. So you can maximize your money by putting in IRAs, mutual funds, things like that, and see yourself 20 years later. See yourself, in compound interest and teaching them things like that. A little bit about money. These are things that we need to know because it'll prevent you, if you have a heart of wisdom, from just blowing money, clubbing and drinking and No, you're like, no, I'm trying to build a strategic situation for myself. As I defend the nation, as I do my duties. You know what I'm saying? I still want to make sure that when I get out, whether it's 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, that I'm in a good situation for me, my household, my kids, or if you're single, for whatever you're trying to do in life, invest or whatever, but invest your money. Also too, don't follow the crowd. So don't get clicked up with things that would be time sucks. That would be, that would not benefit you as a person. You know what I'm saying? You got to be okay with not being the in crowd. And that comes with insecurities, young things like that. But just be around people that's trying to be positive, that's trying to be on. Because just because you're in the military don't mean everybody got the same mindset when it comes down to where you're trying to go in life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, it's people that got in trouble in the military, people that that was not trying to be civil, and all those different things. So that's part of community. So I would tell them to make sure that you click up with people that are like minded. If you're trying to do something positive and stay focused and do something great for your future, find those type people. Things like that. So those are 2 main things I tell from what I learned.
You have any additional words or anything that you wish I would have asked or could have asked?
No, not necessarily. Like I said, you did a great job. I mean, this is what you do. So I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of the show. I know I kind of gave you a little kickback at first, because like I said, when you was introducing the show to me and you was talking about I want to highlight a vet, I didn't feel like I was worthy to be highlighted. And I just be transparent with that because I don't feel like I was the troop I could have been, I should have been. At one point I was, but then I lost motivation I let, my circumstances, I let, distractions get in where it stopped becoming about the mission at hand and became about just trying to hang out. You know what I'm saying? And it was about self, and that comes along with growth. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said so. Now, I just try to live my life now to help serve others. That's what a true person that's a veteran or a person that's in the military really supposed to have signed up for, is to be of service. So now I get another chance at life. Even though I might not be in the military now, but with my life service, how can I help? How can I push and build up, a person, whether it's a single person, a community, or anything like that. So that's kind of what I devote my life to, and try to learn how to maneuver through the temptations. I still got temptations, just because I'm older, things like that, and how to maneuver through that even at this age, and build the right communities and things like that, and have people I can talk with. Having the right people to talk with is so important, to share your struggles and your pains and your vulnerabilities, So I got a great pastor. I got a great team of men around me that I meet with weekly, you know what I'm saying? And we talk, we share, we pray for each other. So yeah. And I got a beautiful wife that been with me 20 years. We're gonna be 20 years in February 12th, so that stuck with this guy, you know what I'm saying, and walk with me, and vice versa, and built a. So yeah. So I would say nothing else is talk a little bit more about them. My wife, like I said, she's a beautician, has her own salon. I got to throw out there, Miss Kirby Cobb, because she met me, way back then, right when I got out the military, not too long. Still, very broken, still young, still, immature. But yet, I had a vision. I didn't want to do the things I did prior to that, and the way I handle relationships and the way I handle, those type of situations. I wanted to be an upstanding person, when I met her. So yeah, so I got a chance to be a family man and be a husband of one wife, and have 3 great children that are doing great things. So yeah, that's where we at.
Congratulations on that.
Yeah.
And so I was just going to repeat what I had said to you prior, but now that you use the word temptation, I'm going to flip your own Christianity and ministry back at you.
Yes, ma'am.
So, being a veteran, any other veteran or any person that may be thinking about joining the military can use your own story for themselves. And as you said, temptation. Is you going to tell the person who's struggling through their Christian walk that they got to be perfect to join the church? You going to tell them that Jesus loves them any less because they still out there drinking and smoking and sexing? And no, you're not going to tell them that. You're going to tell them that Jesus still loves them the same.
Yeah, he met me.
Serves your country. You are a veteran, and your story is worthy to be told, because people got to know that there's no perfect veteran walk. People have struggles. People have done things, but anybody who raised their hand to serve this country, their story is worthy to be told.
Appreciate that. That's powerful. So correct.
Thank you. That'll be $50. All right. So, what are you gonna do for your self-care? Either for the remainder of this night, for this weekend, or for the next week.
Okay, I have a routine. My self-care first and foremost. Don't want to sound super churchy, but man, in the morning, start my day with prayer and the word. I get in the word. I spend that time. That's that time centered before my Father and the Lord, man, and get that mind renewed and get focused, because I don't know what may come in my day, good, bad, and indifferent. I'm saying? I want to be able to respond in a way that brings Him glory and honor. And if I fall, I want to be able to be, understanding enough, like you said, in my relationship, that He's right there to pick me up and keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? Because that's part of the walk. It's like we're children, so children stumble. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of it. So not being such a, like you said, perfectionist and so hard on myself where I can't breathe, you know what I'm saying? And then also too, speaking on breath is keeping my breath going to the gym regularly. I don't make the 5 days a week. Sometimes, you know, I have those times where I done missed the whole month, you know what I'm saying? And it goes back to like, dang, let's get back to the business, you know what I'm saying? And keep on pushing towards that. So trying to make that a regular routine, at least 3 days a week, you know, going to the gym and get my cardio in, you know, give me some workout training in. That's part of it. And also too, like I was saying, meeting with some of my brothers in Christ, you know, and having those sit down talks and kind of just getting across the table, you know, meetings, have some lunch meetings and things like that. And me and my wife, we hang out, you know, we go on date nights regularly. You know, regularly. You know what I'm saying? We going somewhere to go eat, you know, go to this new spot we heard about it. They got live music or something, or just go, you know, to Atlanta, go, you know, somewhere we gonna do something, you know what I'm saying? Regularly. And then with the children, you know, try to find time to meet with them and hang out with them and you know, and things like that. So that's kind of how I do self-care, you know, just trying to make sure the things that matter the most. Because once that casket closed, I'm always thinking about that day, you know what I'm saying? Not in some weird way, but I know that I'm on, they say borrowed time, as we heard what's his name? The comedian was saying at the what's his name? But he was sharing that what's the guy named, the skinny comedian
I
from
don't know.
Atlanta?
Ricky Smiley. I don't know.
No, not really smart. DC
DC.
Young Fly, yeah, he did the eulogy for what's his name, the one that passed.
Oh, the one that just
yeah. So anyway, he was sharing that we on borrowed time, which is so true that we don't control our days. So what matters the most? That which keeps my soul at peace, knowing that when I do leave here, that I put stake in that. I go out here chase the bag all day and all this type of stuff. But if I don't spend time with my wife, I don't spend time with my children, I don't check on my grandparents, you know what I'm saying? I don't check on my mom, you know what I'm saying? I don't take care of my health, you know, I don't take care of my mental. Definitely if I don't take care of my relationship with the Lord, it was all in vain. You know what I'm saying? So those are the ways that I keep, because I know when I'm off track and something inside me say, you're doing too much of this or you're doing too less of that. And that self-care to me is making sure that I'm okay. Because at the end of the day, I got to check in with me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And lastly, do you have any social media that you would like to share?
Sure. As you see on the screen, my government name, Martez Cobb, but my alias and my ministry name, I go by 180. That's how you say that, WNA0. So if you type in 180 in YouTube, anywhere you listen to music, you'll find my ministry there. So just plug it in wherever, TikTok 180, Instagram 180, you know, Facebook, you can go there. I don't really post a lot on Facebook under 180, which I need to do a better job with that because I just hate managing several social media sites. So I really do a lot of my main posting on Facebook. If you want to connect on Facebook, it's Martez Cobb. Love to connect with you. I'm gonna post positive stuff. I don't be doing all that crazy stuff. When everything come down my timeline, it's gonna be something that's gonna be family or positivity or something godly. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna connect with me, that's what I'm pushing.
You mentioned your wife got a shop. Do you want to plug her?
Got to then. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, if you in the Mississippi area, Jackson, Pearl, anywhere in this area, she has a shop called For Your Glory. It spells just like it sounds, For Your Glory. It's in Pearl, Mississippi. Also, too, she has her own vegan hair care line. No harsh chemicals. It helps grow the hair. She's a trichologist as well. Hair loss practitioner. So she studies hair. She really cares about healthy hair. So she has all different type of products that will help keep the hair moist, conditioned, and all that type of stuff. So it's called, that is For Your Glory, haircare.com. For Your Glory, haircare.com. Yeah.
For Your Glory.com.
For Your Glory, haircare.com. Let me just make sure now I'm saying it right. For Your Glory, beauty.com. I apologize. What? For Your Glory, beauty.com. That's where you can find those supplies at. For Your Glory, beauty.com.
Okay. Okay, that's all I have for you. You have spent an hour, the whole 1 hour and a half with me, Martez.
Oh, wow.
Thank you.
Pretty fast. We caught up. It's been a minute since we talked, so I'm glad that all was well with you and the family and everything. Thanks for bringing me on. Thanks for what you do,
Yes.
service and for veterans.
Yes. You hold tight. You hold tight. Don't go nowhere. I'm gonna go ahead and play this outro. Y'all, everybody, Ram family, y'all know what it is. If you know a veteran, a social worker, veteran family member who would like to come on, y'all, please send them my way. And be sure you tune in tomorrow at 5 p.m. for my suicide awareness and prevention guest tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and play this outro, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I would like to thank my guests for joining me, or simply thank you for watching the pre-recorded episode. No matter what your birth order is, how you self-identify, and whether you like pancakes or waffles. If this is the first time you're hearing it today, I want you to know that you are loved. You were put here for a purpose that only you can fulfill. Until next time, take care of yourself. Be sure that you like and share the videos, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notifications bell. This is RealRam out.